Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming. Welcome back to Elden Ring news. It's been a while since I've been able to do one of these though, and I would have done this actually sooner if it wasn't for the whole Zelda release and I was being very busy with that, but now I can sneak the time in to talk about it because today we're talking about the heavily suggested future of Elden Ring beyond Shadow of the Erdtree, meaning potentially and honestly, logically, future DLCs after that. And further, Elden Ring is a franchise. This means potentially animations or even anime, books, manga and more. It's very exciting, but with that said, let's talk about how this all came about. Last year, not long after the release of the game, the Kadokawa financial report released. This detailed the incredible launch of Elden Ring roughly 1 month after its release, revealing the hard numbers and comparisons and how the company felt about the performance. What that would lead to, and was also our first confirmation that support for Elden Ring would not only continue, but be heavily emphasized. We haven't actually had any DLC or major content updates since then, and compared to many previous From Software titles, at this point after release, we'd have like minimum 1 major DLC, maybe 2, maybe even 3, and yet we got nothing with Elden Ring despite its incredible success. Well, if you stop and really think about that for a moment, Elden Ring has actually had a lot of post-release support, and actually more than I can think of with any other title. From the tons of small map updates and little NPC updates in which say Jarberg was introduced, patches in his storyline, the shockingly regular roughly 3 months each time, updates to the balance and meta of the game. These things changed PvP in the very way that it's played and the variety of builds in it, but also greatly improved many terrible weapon types and even specific weapons and their ashes, making them relevant in both sides of the game, including spells and incantations, and even talismans and bugs being fixed as well. Further, and most impressively, we got PvP specific tuning, which is something being called for with all the Souls games, and now we're really seeing it in action every major patch. Personally, this stuff has kept me interested and kept me open in the game time and time again. The original financial report then is how we have the context and likely reasoning behind this impressive support for the game in terms of balance and those specific details and updates. But now after a full year, we can finally have a look at the next year's financial report, which came out just a couple weeks ago, to take a look at the stats, the perspectives, and what the future of the game will look like. If you aren't aware, Kadokawa are basically the parent company, the main one anyway, of From Software. They have the majority stake in the company. These reports are very important to the investors who want to see how things are performing, as well as what's going to happen in the future, the next quarter, and so on. Amazingly, the very first thing stated is that Elden Ring was largely how they reached their numerical targets of the current midterm plan. This is insane because that means Elden Ring is still their most successful, their most profitable IP a full year after its release. Kadokawa are no joke, they're a massive company. According to Wikipedia, their revenue so far in 2023 is roughly 255 million yen. They publish and produce a massive amount of things via a massive list of companies that they have a main stake in, from TV to books, manga and anime, as well as game development of course as well. As it turns out, they were the big producers for animes like Shield Hero, Made in Abyss, Overlord and many more. But now circle back, this massive corporation which creates revenue from so many sources will still, 1 year after the release of Elden Ring, still one of their main, if not the leading source of their success, which is insane. Within this page though, they reference their popular IPs, how they aim to continue their growth by stabilizing the performance of their game businesses. Apparently, results vary significantly within this field, and they aim to manage that better. Makes sense, you release a game, it gets all the sales, and of course it has more sales over time, but nothing compared to release. They will attempt then to extend the life of their popular IPs, and also, like many are doing it would seem, expand into mobile games more, where of course a lot of money is to be made. Could this mean then some sort of official Souls or Elden Ring mobile game? I mean, personally, the notion of that is very uninviting to me. I have no interest in mobile games generally, but it's foolish to ignore that there is a massive scene in mobile gaming. The amount of money to be made there for a company like Kadokawa is obviously huge. From Software is far from their only game dev company though, and they may have a different group in mind to achieve that, or all of them, I don't know. Ultimately, they want to achieve growth in medium to long term, in comparison to say releases and then the big fall off that happens. In quarter 4, the expected decline in the sales for a single player game that saw no major content updates, well that did happen, but they claim that decline was absorbed and sales increased as a whole anyway. Essentially, even after the logical decline in sales for Elden Ring after launch, it's still a leading cause of growth for Kadokawa due to the otherworldly success that it had, as you'd understand. Game-specific and operating profits improvements were insane because of this, plus 55% net sales, plus 173% operating profits, highlighting Elden Ring, and the Eminence in Shadow Master of Garden were highlighted. This second game, I don't know, but I think it references the mobile game aspect again. Apparently it was created by Kadokawa's own IP and succeeded more than they expected. Hopefully then that's what they're referring to with their mobile game plans compared to From Software and Elden Ring and so on. But what about the future? What are their plans for 2023 and to 2024? They claim that despite a further expected decrease in sales and profit via Elden Ring, they still expect net sales and operating profit increases once more. Under the game segment, they state that the release of Armored Core 6 is planned in August and that they, quote, will aggressively invest in development of other pipelines as well, end quote. From here, we have dedicated sections for these segments. We can really get into it now, looking through the game-focused parts. From Q2 onwards, they state that new titles will increase sales and profit. From Software, again, launching Armored 6, of course. And from that, they say they expect the fan base to expand. That, in my opinion, means they expect the interest for the Armored Core IP to expand. Probably because of the major success of Elden Ring. More people are likely to be interested in From Software titles and likely to purchase and try Armored Core. This then will create fans of the series who might engage with the older Armored Core games or want more, of course, like future content, new releases, DLC or otherwise. But then, their medium to long-term plans are announced here. This references again Elden Ring. It highlights the development of the DLC that will contribute to the enhancement of the Elden Ring franchise. They are pursuing the maximization of profit by prolonging the life of IP. Clear as day to me there, this means the view of Elden Ring is more than a single release, but an IP that is becoming a franchise. That they will attempt to increase profits by prolonging its life. We have seen this through the free patches and small content updates, such as the arena, and we know Shadow of Erdtree is still coming, but this very well could mean that they want to release more DLC and future content for the game beyond the initial launch of Shadow of the Erdtree, and that makes complete sense. Something so big and so successful as Elden Ring would do great with more than one DLC. Perhaps their efforts with this first one will mean follow-up ones will be more reasonable on a timeline. And it's far from the case that From Software only releases one DLC for their games. They've done 2 to 3 in previous titles. Further, the report highlights their desire to improve development capabilities. They're increasing personnel and that type of thing. They state that they will strive to expand the scope of their own publishing and increase the opportunities for our media mix. To me, that sounds like they want to support From Software and Elden Ring more than they have. With more personnel and other methods, maybe they can increase the speed at which things are being developed, with better opportunities and their own ability to publish. That's really exciting for the future of From Software and Elden Ring specifically. Finally, they state that they will indeed reinforce investment into mobile games that contribute to the maximization of the value of their IP, as well as books and animations. In the future, they hope to establish a system that can develop 10 pipelines in parallel. Wow. What do you think that means? It sounds like Elden Ring as a franchise, as stated, meaning more than just the game itself. Things like comics, animations or anime, manga, that type of thing, we could get Elden Ring versions of that. After all, just look at the incredible success of, say, Arcane for League of Legends and Edgerunners for Cyberpunk. These both created massive interest in the games again, especially Cyberpunk, which was essentially saved by the anime after a rather dire launch. A similar strategy for renewed interest in Elden Ring and future titles, that seems very logical and very exciting actually. I suppose I should also highlight that this report confirms Armored Core 6 is releasing prior to Elden Ring's first DLC, which should be no surprise to anyone. It's the fact that, Elden Ring's DLC is in the medium to long term section, where Armored Core is not only listed first and before that, but with an actual deadline and release schedule. We do know that in various interviews, FromSoft and key figures have claimed that From Software's development schedule is going to improve. That while they already work on multiple titles at once, they're scaling up, and we will feel that in the future. Further, we know that Elden Ring's DLC has been in development for over a year already, and again was referred to as an expansion rather than DLC in the official reveal. That would then suggest the size of the release and how long it's been in dev means it will be significantly bigger compared to the size of previous titles and their DLCs. So it has my hopes very high for the DLC, the quality and size of it, but also the content to follow, following DLCs, further free support and updates for the game, and Elden Ring as a franchise, meaning other media types to support it. Again, they stated they want to achieve 10 projects in the pipeline at once, which yet will likely include that mobile game and other dev teams involved as well, but it certainly will mean more projects in the works from Software. Could that mean then a major title release via FromSoft every year going forward from here? That's entirely possible in my opinion, especially with everything in that report and the interviews with FromSoft themselves. But there you have it. That was my overdue overview of the financial report and what it means for us, Elden Ring and From Software as a whole. I think it's all very promising, very exciting, and I'm glad I could finally talk about this, have the time to do so. Let me know your thoughts on all of it though, if there's anything I've missed and your perspective on this information compared to mine could be interesting. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.